Welcome into part 2 of our MLB Park Ranking extravaganza. Last summer, I took the baseball road trip of a lifetime, and if you haven't checked that video out yet, it is the best video I've ever put together, so please do so. I went to all 30 ballparks, and now it's time to rank them, but before we continue that, let's remind you of the criteria for these rankings. There are 5 categories, each worth a maximum of 10 points. Location, surrounding area, aesthetics, exhibits, atmosphere, staff and friendliness, food and drink options, and overall experience. And here's a quick recap of part 1. If you haven't checked that episode out, please do so as well for the details on why these are ranked where they are. But without any further ado, let's get to part 2! Number 20. It is Rogers Center in Toronto, Canada, coming in at number 20. They were actually tied with Globe Life Field in Texas, but I figured I'd be nice to our Canadian friends and put them in the middle tier. I even checked off the American tourist checklist of Timmy Hortons Coffee Crisp and, of course, poutine. If you don't like poutine, I'll be honest with you, I don't trust you. But all jokes aside, this park's been recently renovated, and I enjoyed it very much. I even more enjoyed the downtown surrounding area. That's one of the best in the major leagues, especially on a weekend, as I went on a Saturday. But the issue with that is it was devastatingly hard to get into the city, even more difficult to find parking, so much so I only gave it a 6 out of 10. I'd love to go back to Toronto. I might just need to plan ahead a little better. Number 19. The home of the bangers, Maid Park, Houston, Texas. Maid's cool, it's just got less features than some of the other parks, and at this point, when you get higher up in the rankings, you need to be outstanding. Now, they do occasionally do dollar hot dog nights, and on those nights, it is much higher in the rankings. Oh, and you can't forget the 7th inning stretch.
Here we go.
Classic. Number 18. Comerica Park is next, and I hate putting this down here because I love the people of Detroit. They've been very good to me, but it's another one of those parks that's cool, but just doesn't really have anything that stands out to me. Also, it must be said, tickets on the day. The cheapest single ticket was almost $50 for this. Seriously? I'll definitely be back, and maybe a couple of these scores could be tweaked a little bit, but I can't put it much higher than this. Number 17. Okay, we have a 5-way tie for the next 5 parks, so I tried to break the tie as reasonably as I could. Now, this park is known for their history and great crowds, but honestly, right now, the pizzazz just isn't there. It's Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Now, this view is amazing, and I must admit, I didn't get to do Ballpark Village and the museum right outside the park before the game, which I really wanted to do. I can't wait to do that next time. I've heard great things about this area, which is why I gave extra points to their surrounding area and their aesthetics. But this one is near the top of the list in terms of wanting to go back and have more time. So for now, we'll put an asterisk by it and say to be continued. Number 16. Some may think it's blasphemy that I'm putting this above Busch Stadium, but when you have a giant bar dedicated strictly to local beer and one of the best exhibits in all of Major League Baseball, you're gonna score some points in my book. It's American Family Field in Milwaukee. Now, should this be at the top of your bucket list? No, that's why it's number 16, but it's got everything you need and a great tailgate atmosphere. Awesome time. Number 15. We are officially in the top half, and Citizens Bank Park is next. Honestly, it's really just there because of the cheesesteak. Look at me go. But no, it's a cool park. I don't know what you guys are thinking with those crab fries, but the other stuff makes up for it. Awesome tailgate experience outside. The people were really good to me, mainly because I did not wear opposing colors. I'm not stupid. Number 14. Number 14 is one of my favorite food parks of the trip and home to the amazing Mets. It's Citi Field. What's really holding this park back is the location. If not for that, it would be one of the best parks in the majors, but it's difficult to get to, difficult to park. There's nothing around it. Quite honestly, I'm probably being generous by giving it a 5. But once you finally get there, it is completely worth it. So well put together, endless food options. I can't wait to go back. Number 13. T-Mobile Park is next. Now, I had been here once before when the roof was closed, but on this night, the roof was open, and that gave it a whole new vibe. To be fair, that's probably the case with any ballpark with a retractable roof, but it's a different feel. They used to sell toasted grasshoppers, which I tried years ago, and quite frankly, they were disgusting. I was going to try them again, but members of their staff told me they didn't sell them anymore, which I don't really think is true because I've read articles that said they still do. So I don't know who's not on the same page there. Nonetheless, I was told how great their food options were, so I tried some crab fries and some chowder, and quite frankly, it was very overpriced and underwhelming. Maybe their other stuff is good, not sure. We'll give it a go next time. Number 12. Where the trip officially started, Target Field in Minneapolis. I spoke to a couple local guys during the game, and here's what we said.
This is actually the first park stop on the tour, so we've got a heck of a month planned, but the stadium's great. My prediction is that this is probably going to be like in the middle in terms of rankings, and that's not a knock. It's more of like stadiums have just come a long way. Where do you rank this one, you think, in terms of comparison to others?
Oh boy, I don't know. Probably about where you're at, 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's above
On
average.
a nice Minnesota summer day, it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
But it can get cold, so.
Yes, it can. I've been there when it's cold, and that is not fun. Luckily, today we had some great weather, and it was right where we thought it would be, number 12, which is very good. I gave an extra point for food and drink options because while what I had was good, I did find out later there were a lot of local spots inside the park that I want to try. It was the first stop of the trip, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was kind of figuring it out as I went along. Nonetheless, the park is very well put together, and I can't wait to give this one another go. Number 11. And let the controversy begin, because just missing out on the top 10 is Fenway Park. Let me explain. As Americans, as baseball fans, or just sports fans in general, we know what Fenway Park is, what it represents, how long it's been there, its history, it's the oldest park in the major leagues, I can go on and on. But this list is about more than that, and if you're going for a weekend, I can see how that can be different. But if you're just driving in for a game, this area is super congested. It was damn near impossible to find parking. I had to park over a mile away just because that was the only thing available. And it must be said, there are limited food and drink options compared to the other parks. The seats are very, very close together, which is fine. It's an old park and it's showing its age, and that's why a lot of people love it, and that's totally cool. I'll put it this way. If you took a casual fan of another sport or from outside the country who didn't know anything about baseball or history or anything like that, if you took them to all 30 parks and asked them to rank them in terms of niceness or aesthetics or whatever, Fenway probably wouldn't even come close to the top half. But if you asked them to rank it on atmosphere, it would probably be top 5 easily. Personally speaking, as a sports fan, Fenway was probably at the top of my bucket list in terms of sports venues in America to visit, and I got to see Yankees Red Sox on a Friday night. It's very hard to beat that. And I loved it, but I can't break the rules. I've got to be fair. Sorry, Boston. Actually, I'm not sorry. You guys win enough. Can't you let somebody else win something? So here's where we are. 20 down and 10 to go. Some expected, some surprises, but that's what makes it all fun, isn't it? But as always, I want to know what you think. How nuts am I for not putting Fenway in the top 10? And to be honest, your argument's probably valid, but that's just how I feel. Leave a comment down below, and please check out the individual episodes for each park as well. I will put those in the description. Speaking of the top 10, every park in the top 10 has a score of 40 or above, so who will take the crown in the third and final part? You don't want to miss that, so I will see you then. But until then, I wish you peace and love.